Hey guys, welcome back. I just got a brand new release. I want to share this with you guys. It's the Tornado Farewell Scheme, the GR.4 from Revell, and this is in 48 scale. So let's go ahead and open this box up and take a look inside. Okay guys, here you go, another review, hot off the press, just delivered by the mailman about 3 hours ago. So I know you usually do reviews on a Tuesday, but as this is a brand new release and very popular, I thought I'd get it right out immediately so you guys take a look inside the box. Full disclosure, I have opened the box already. I have done half a review and my batteries ran out and the lights went off, so as it always happens, I'm doing it again. So this is the second time I'm doing this. So it's kit number 03853, Revell 48 scale, Tornado GR.4 and the farewell markings. As you may know, Revell have done tons of boxings of these tornadoes over the years. It's been out a long time now, and built several of them, with tons of my stash. And they're cheap kits. They go for about £20–25 or dollars, depending where you're on the world. And yeah, but they are that problems. They're really complicated way to go together. It's hard to get those seam lines, especially around the top of the intakes here, where there's lots of detail. It's hard to, if you sand it, you can lose that detail. And also down the side here, and there's several parts we'll go through which are problematic with this. I think they're using the same mold, so over time they've not been quite as crisp. So pick one up from about 10 years ago. Typically, it's been a little bit nicer than the recent ones. Edward reboxed these, and you might know the Desert Babe, and that was the Gulf War GR1 version of this. Now I've done a review of that on my channel a while back. To be honest, I think that's on my old camera, so it may not be as crisp and as nice as this review. That review, just to give you a quick update, was very softly molded, a lot of flash, and it had a lot. Decals were poor, and it had tons of oil all over it, like sticky oil you could touch on your fingers from the mold release agent. So I'm hoping for better this time around with Revell. So let's go ahead and get started. So, well, I guess first thing we should notice, this farewell is kind of like almost like a showbird kind of thing. When they withdrew these GR4s, I think it was last year now, they had three schemes. One's a retro and the wraparound camo, which kind of gives a nod to the RAF Germany from what, late 70s, early 80s, and the other two were painted in well, various squadron markings, but the usual grey kind of scheme. Look around the box, again, not really see there. Just the same picture on every side, pretty much. On the back, you can see it does have nice retractable flaps. In 48 scale, this is the best there is right now. It's, like I say, it's not perfect, but it is the best in 48 scale you're going to find. So, the box. It's listed up a little bit, but again, not one giant bag, but a couple of bags. So, plastic here. And big pieces. Now, immediately, I'll draw your attention to the fact that plastic is different. It's a lot darker grey to the usual. And we'll look at it in a minute. Just first glance, it looks nice, crisper molded, and less splash as usual as well, which is a big thumbs up. So let me put that to the side. Let's get going through the instructions first. Decals aside. So typical Revell. The new instructions are quite nice. They are in colour. Let me zoom out a little bit and turn the light down so we get the glare. Nice colour. That's actually the real aircraft we're going to build. Colours are always all over the place for Revell. They're trying to sell their own paints with different colour kind of combinations and stuff. Just use your reference material and use your usual RAF colours and stuff, and you'll be fine. Next couple of pages are just call-outs. Where the parts are. Just watch out. See, some parts are blacked out. That means you're not going to use it. I think that's a spine. It comes with two different spines, the German version and the RAF version. So just again, make sure you use the right one. So in this case, you're going to use one on part number 249. And more parts and the instructions. So I'm just going to go through this real quick. As always, if you want to see more, just please go ahead and pause. I've gone through these instructions so many times in different videos. So we start with ejection seat, and it's a Martin Baker 10A, 2 seats as usual. I typically update with resin seats. Aries, a bunch of different companies do the Martin Baker 10A. And then you make sure you draw those holes in, always forget to do those on the instructions. And then that's the lower wheel well goes in, the wheel bay goes in, and then the cockpit sits on top of it. The cockpit's not badly detailed. It does come with some decals for the instruments, but it's a little bit, the colour's a little bit inaccurate. You'll see in a minute, I think it's a lot paler than what it should be, to be honest with you. the cockpit. Also 2 seats. And the seats going in, you can always do them later, but if you want to put them right now you can. And then decals for the instrument panel. And the intake trunking comes in 2 pieces with the fan blade separate, which is nice, so you can paint them separately, not that you'll ever see them tucked down there. One thing that always gets me too is make sure you always put these in the right, be careful when you cut these parts out, make sure you get the right parts on the right side, like maybe do one at a time. And yeah, make sure you do glue these in. Sometimes I forgot, to be honest with you, a couple of times I built this kit, and then you basically put the top on. Okay, drilling some more holes. That's probably for the fuel probe, and then a cockpit and the front part sandwiches between these 2 halves. Then we're putting the this around the intake trunking. To be honest, there's a different way of doing this. If I remember it, if I can find it, Nathan from the Tornado SIG did a great build video series of this on Flory models. He has his own way of doing it, and I actually followed this way when I did my F3 Tornado earlier this year, and it actually works a lot better. So basically, long story short, you start with the back end section, you kind of reverse these instructions, and then you build up the back end section, and then you add the front. I think it's basically how it goes. But if I remember, I will put that in the comments below. The wings, forward or back, they do kind of move somewhat, although you have to put the wing seals behind it. And you can see the mechanism. To be honest, this doesn't work that well, to be honest with you. It's hard to find. Typically, I'm not sure, these pieces are normally reversed, the part numbers on these 2, on every single Revell kit I have, these are the wrong part numbers, so just be careful. I'm not sure if they have updated on this one or not. Then adding those wings in, and be careful when you cut these out. You'll see them in the plastic. It's hard to tell where the plastic where the part ends and the sprue run starts. It's all kind of flashy and joins into one. So you have to be very careful cleaning up these guys. It's talking to you about having the wings forward or back. Typically when it's parked, the wings will be forward. Then there's add the wing seals, adding the spine. Speed brakes, they're not greatly detailed on this kit. If you decide to have them up, you might want a resin upgrade. No, I think it's, I know 32nd kit's out scale kit, I think it's the same with 48. You can't put Aries resin exhaust and speed brakes in the same thing, it just doesn't fit. I think it's the same with this one, so it's one or the other. If you want to go upgrade the exhaust nozzles, but I think you fit the speed brakes in, so just watch out for that one. Here, this is a really tricky part with these intakes. You always get seam lines and so much detail, it's really hard to kind of get, take care of those intakes. It's probably the hardest part in this kit. Like I say, it's not an easy one to go together, but it does with some careful dry fitting and care, you can get this to go together pretty nicely. The wing gloves go on, and then you work on the back end, and exhaust nozzles. As I mentioned, Aries do quite a nice set for this. And the famous giant tail. Nose, 40 grams of nose weight, that's quite a lot of nose weight. And these are always tricky too. You can have the flaps and slats down, just these little tiny guys go in. I think it might be easier somewhat to do at the end, paint it all and then add all these at the end and add the flaps and the slats. That's probably the way to do it. See the slats, you can up or down. And then the wings, which are the flaps, which again is nice. Have the flaps down if you wish. Speed brakes, and for the brackets for the thrust reverser buckets. So it's, I think the Aries is nice because it comes on molded resin if you want to go that route. Otherwise you can open or closed. It's always a little bit tricky to do as well. Take time with that one. And pylons. Excuse me, to itch my nose. Inboard and outbound. And center pylons. Gear. No, if the gear's closed, if you want it open, you just have to cut with a knife, carefully cut it open for both the doors here. And the wheels, two-piece wheels, fuel probe, the fueling probe, should I say, adding some screens for the back seat, some stuff for inside the canopy up or down. A few little lumps and bumps, and yeah, pods. You got the BOS 107 pod, a Sky Shadow pod, and a fuel tank. Both 1500 litres and 2250 litres included. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about the pods. You'll see they're okay in the plastic, but Edward released earlier this summer, so summer 2020, they released a whole bunch of armament for Tornado. So Sky Shadow pods, Boz pods, all you name it. There's probably, I think, 6 or 7 different packages of different armament they've released for this kit and resin under Brazen range. So you might want to check that out if you want to upgrade this model. I've had them all. I reviewed some on this channel. If you check back to some older videos, you can check them out. They also do a kind of combo pack called under the Big Sin, and that's basically you get 5 or 6 different different things in the pack, so it's a little bit cheaper than buying them separately. And all you get here is a couple of sidewinders. That's all we get in terms of armament, the pods, and a couple of sidewinders. So yeah, like I say, if you want to upgrade those, definitely Edward Brazen would be the way to go to get some more armament if you want to arm this up. But again, this is more of a showbird, technically, rather than a line jet. So I guess it wouldn't really be armed or any pods, to be honest with you. Just probably have a couple of fuel tanks. Yeah, I'd imagine. Okay, and here's the beautiful schemes. So number 1 is 9th Squadron, Marham. Kind of famous, kind of black tail with the tornado on the back with the bat. Stencil markings too. And then here gives you 3 pylons and your pods, or your stencils. And here's that beautiful wraparound, retro scheme from the RAF Germany days. This is also Marham. And note to this one, obviously the pods and stuff match the aircraft, so you know it's the same camo scheme on the fuel tanks, and it's obviously not using the grey, using the more the green colours on the pods and inner pylons. And we go to the 3rd scheme, which is Marham also, 31 Squadron. I've actually done this in a 72nd scale jet. I went to town, I took the Revell 72nd scale kit and pretty much threw tons of resin and converted it to a GR.4, and I went with this scheme. Cool, so the cool scheme too. And these are the 3 schemes. Again, same stencil information at the back. Whew, a lot going on there. So again, take your time with this one. It's it can kick you in the arse if you kind of rush it or don't dry fit. Decals. So I recently got the 72nd scale Tiger Meat, the Luftwaffe Tornado, and have beautiful markings, made print in Italy, and same with these ones. I'm not sure it's calligraph or not, but they look really nice, no problems at all. So the main ones, tons of stencils. Here's the instrument panel I was talking about, and some of the decals for the switches. So they look pretty good, but you see that colour's way too light. There should be more of like a kind of mid to dark grey backgrounds. So you can either just paint it by hand, you could go with decals if you want to, or you could get like an Edward photo etch set if you wished, you know, to upgrade it. But yeah, you look at the roundel. Yep, the red's perfectly centered, nicely printed. Just switching over. Always with these tornadoes, you always get tons of these like little dotted lines for the walkways. It's always a bit of a pain to put on these decals. One thing I noticed here in the middle of these guys, which go on the intakes, the dotted lines, it's just really, it's not the usual carrier film. It's just like really matte paper. So I'm not sure what's going on there. If it just comes off easily, slides off easily, and this is just a gap or what's going on. But yeah. That's that. Looking good. Okay. And into the plastic. Like I said, I did open this up already, so we're going through this for the 2nd time. So I actually know what to expect. So, the big bag. Now, there's a few pieces broken off. So what I'll say is, these Revell, that's losing focus a little bit. There you go. These Revell kits are notorious for having crap boxes. You don't stack them on the bottom, because if you put stuff on top, they just break and they're not very strong. They throw a lot of sprues in the same bag, so I've got a few broken pieces like nose and stuff broken off. They seem okay, but my kind of caveat with that is I bought it from Jadlam, and Jadlam in the UK are notorious for the crap packaging. Literally it's just thrown in a bag and shipped all the way to the US. That no packaging, no box or nothing. So I mean, you get what you pay for, the great prices, but the packaging is non-existent. So I'll just put it towards maybe shipping halfway around the world with no packaging. Probably reason why some of these pieces are broken rather than the actual, Revell themselves. But let's go ahead and look at these pieces here. So let's start with the wing. Hopefully you can see some of that detail there. Always have beautiful detail on these kits. Nice on these Tornado kits. Nicely panel lines. There's the other top of the other wing. And the underside. And here's what I was talking about, where it's hard to distinguish sometimes. You have to be very careful when you cut these. You don't want to cut the, off the wrong piece. But happy to report that this is normally covered in tons of flash on these kits, but this, you see, it's pretty nice. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than, especially the Edwards one I had recently this year, and some of the other ones in my stash. So the molds look nice and crisp. Also the plastic, as you can see, is darker, and it just feels a little bit, not quite as soft. It's still soft, but you can hear that kind of noise. It's definitely in the right direction. So it seems a little bit different, this plastic, to the usual ones. There's a cockpit tub. Some nice raised detail on there, but again, you might want to kind of spruce it up a little bit with some photo etch or something. And the speed brakes we talked about earlier, a little bit of detail, but not overly. So it's the sides of the fuselage, the rear section. Hold it to the light, you can see again all the panel lines and stuff. Oh, an instrument panel right here. That's for the rear seat. Nicely detailed. And that's, pretty good sprue. This is the top of the rear section of the fuselage. Again, see that beautiful detail in the light. Comes up really nice to wash, especially if you go with the grey scheme. It's really going to show up in a panel line wash. Flaps. And slats. And here's the two-piece intake trunking I mentioned. Also ejection pins, but this is you're not going to see any of this stuff. It's obviously on the hidden away on the other side. I don't really see much flash at all. There's a few little, overall really good for Revell standards. Let's open up this bag. See a few bits are broken off, like I mentioned, the nose and stuff. They seem okay. It's no big problem. It's just obviously just split from the sprue. Right here, you can kind of see the pod here. It's got detail. Oh, not sure how well it's gonna pick it up though. There it is. See a little bit of detail, but the resin also a little bit nicer. Wing seals, wing gloves, sorry. And nicely detailed. And the spine, this one you don't use, I believe, in instructions, but you just use these couple of little pieces here. I think these go on the side of the tail, if I remember rightly. Here's the lower side part of the fuselage. Again, it's that beautiful detail. Perfectly in scale. The front fuselage sides. Do it this way around so I get the camera. Again, no problems at all. A little bit of flash here, you see them burring on the side of the sprue, but the actual pieces themselves are okay. When building this, just you want to make sure that again, dry fit. If it doesn't quite fit, there might just be a tiny little bit of flash, but make sure you take care of that, otherwise it's going to have a knock-on effect with the build. And when you get to kind of put it all together, you can have some issues. So again, just take your time. You have no problems with this one. Sorry, I looked at my camera tripod there, so it's shaking, it wasn't focusing. I think, there we go. we did that one already. Pylons. Again, 2-part, nice detail. Just make sure these ejection pins just stand down, so nice fit. It's on the inside. And I believe this is the spine you do use. Slightly different. See here, it's like, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but it's a couple of panel lines difference. One must be German, I think, and one's RAF. I think how it goes. And a couple of center pylons. Two-part horizontal stabilizers. Again, just make sure you take care of the raised ejection pins so they fit together nice and snug. And that's the doors for the nose gear, I think. This is where you have to just cut down here if you want them open. Split them in half. While we're at it, we'll do clear parts. Looking really good. Also have the deck cord going down the middle, molded in. I think it's from the inside. There's maybe not. So sometimes with these things you can just take a acrylic wash and just drop it in, and then just wipe off with a Q-tip all the extra. That's one way of filling it, right? Because obviously it's virtually impossible to paint this. Or you can get like a vinyl decal, that kind of stuff too. The front windshield, again, very nice and clear, no problems there. Yep, because there was one release, I think about 2018 of this kit, where it had a lot of junk kind of badly molded, had to replace them. A lot of these canopies, but these canopy looks nice. Okay, then here we have a match bag. These bags are both the same. So this one's sealed, so we'll go ahead and open this one. Here we've got one of the fuel tanks. The ejection seat. Wheels. Looks like it has a strap mold in if you do decide to go with this one. Well, it's quite shallow, so it would be tough to paint that, I think. And then there's these few buckets at the back, cross reverse the buckets. And last but not least, we have the main wheels. It's like a very basic, but it's one piece sidewinder. Screen for the back seat. This is normally terribly molded, and this one is a little bit better, but you see tons of flash. For whatever reason, this piece always gets hammered on these kits. Yeah, and a couple more fuel tanks on here. You can see a little bit of detail, and the buckets at the back. There we go. Let me just find one piece to look at. Alright, so going back to this one, so this is a test of the kit. So focus it for you, there you go. This is actually, you can tell by how crisp molded compared to the other ones. It's not perfect, but you see here, you can actually make it out on some of the older versions from early this year and the last few years. This is all one big mess of flash, and it's really hard to figure out where to cut and where not to cut. So this is a good test here. See, so overall looks really good. This is way nicer than the Edward version. Nicer plastic. It's a darker grey. It's a little bit not quite as soft. Look, and the panel lines are really crisp. It's less flash, and it's really crisply molded. So well done, Revell. They've got another one, a German one, coming up soon. The 3.1 Aster, I think it is. I'm sure I butchered that. I'm sure it's something different, but I'm wondering if they kind of upgraded the molds for the next few releases, because it does seem nice. Again, a little bit of flash here and there. Again, example like this, just these little cleanup. But these are pretty tricky to put together, like I said. But if you take your time, you'll be just fine. Just dry fit is the key with this one. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. Looks like a step forward. I probably have 4 or 5 different versions of this in my stash, and I've got to say that this is one of the nicest plastics and molded out of them all. There's no sticky, oily, like mold agent like I have on my other ones, on my other one, my Edward one, and it looks really nice. So you're looking for a GR4, this is probably it. It's real quick because I built a few of these. My personal way of upgrading is I would, if it was 48 scale one, I would add a couple of resin Mark 10A seats. I'll probably add the Edward cockpit set, the just internal with the switches and the panels, and I'll probably add the nozzle, Aries nozzles. And I think with that you're good to go. I think, and then obviously some weapon. Depending on what you do, if you're doing it like a showbird like this, you obviously don't worry about weapons. If you want to make it more of a line jet, there's tons of different decals out there. Then look at Edward, and they got, like I said, last 6 months they released a ton of stuff for this, all different weapons and pods and stuff, so you can really go to town on it. Even though these have these really nice markings on here, there are tons, extra decals, tons of companies out there. You can do probably 50 different schemes if you wanted to on these guys. So if you're not keen on, if you just want a GR4, might want to look at this, even though it's a farewell edition, because the other GR4 sold out, not available anymore. So that's another point with Revell. They released really nice kits, and then 2 years later, or maybe a year later, disappear. You can never find them ever again. Examples: the F-15E Eagle's a really nice kit. The Revell was a really nice kit. What else? The old GR4 version of this has disappeared. The F3's out, but that'll probably be gone soon. So especially with Revell, for sure, if you see something you like, I'll pick it up and get it in the stash where you can, because if you wait, that you might be hard to find in the future. They just have like a limited release kind of schedule, not like Tamiya, who churn out the same kits since 1970s. You can always find them. Here, like I said, it's a limited run, and once they're gone, that's it for a few years typically, and the prices can go a little high on eBay too. So that being said, that's it. Oh, price wise, like I mentioned, it's pretty much, whether in the US or UK, it's about the same kind of number in terms of 20 to 25, that's pounds or dollars. US dollars is typically, so very cheap kit really. So if you do add those little bits aftermarket, you're probably looking at what, like maybe, wait, no, 30, so you bring up to maybe about $50, $60 kit with those aftermarkets, but I think it's worth it. Another one I forgot to mention is also the Master Pitot Tube, the metal Pitot Tube. That's a really nice upgrade as well, and that's only like $1.50 or $2. But yeah, with that you should be good to go. So one of my favorite aircraft of all time. I worked with the F3 in my RAF days, and was on deployment with the GR4 back in turn of the century, like around 2000s-ish. So yeah, that's it. So I love the aircraft. I'm really happy with it. Highly recommend it. I'm really happy how the plastic's looking nice as well. So yeah, I've been waffling enough. So again, this is Richie from RW Hobbies. Thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, and goodbye.